8 years of marriage with Amanda felt like a dream come true. I trusted her, completely believed in our future together. Life was good until I started noticing the signs. Sudden business trips scheduled at the last minute. Her phone always face down, locked, and never out of sight. One day, I accidentally glimpsed a message on her screen. "Can't wait until Tuesday. Remember to book our usual hotel." My heart stopped. Treason had entered our home. Before I tell you how I caught my wife at her secret hotel and handed her divorce papers in the lobby, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more real-life stories that might help you spot the warning signs I missed. Amanda and I met in college. I was studying computer engineering while she was pursuing a business degree. After graduation, I landed a job as a software engineer at a tech firm, and Amanda became a sales manager at a pharmaceutical company. We dated for 3 years before tying the knot in a small ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. Our marriage was what most people would consider perfect. We rarely argued, supported each other's career goals, and had recently started discussing having children. We had purchased a beautiful 3-bedroom house in a nice suburb, thinking it would be the perfect place to raise our future kids. Weekends were spent renovating parts of the house, hosting dinner parties for friends, or simply enjoying each other's company. I truly believed we were building a life that would last forever. The first changes were subtle. Amanda started putting more effort into her appearance. New clothes appeared in her closet with price tags I had never seen before. Her makeup routine became more elaborate, and she started spending more time at the gym. At first, I was supportive. I thought maybe she was focusing more on her health or trying to impress her bosses for a promotion. Then came the schedule changes. Amanda began coming home later and later from work. What used to be occasional late meetings became a regular occurrence. Dinner together, once a sacred daily ritual, became rare. When I asked about her day, her answers grew vague and dismissive. The worst part was when she started announcing emergency business trips with barely any notice. Our physical relationship changed too. Amanda became distant, avoiding intimacy with excuses of being tired or stressed from work. When I tried to kiss her goodbye in the mornings, she would turn her face, so my lips landed on her cheek instead. The woman who used to curl up against me every night now slept on the far edge of our bed. The most telling sign was her phone. Amanda changed her password and never left it unattended. She would take it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. Whenever it rang, she would step out of the room to answer it. Text messages were quickly replied to and then deleted. I tried to ignore these red flags. I told myself I was being paranoid, that Amanda was just going through a stressful period at work. I didn't want to be the controlling, suspicious husband who checked his wife's phone or questioned her whereabouts. Trust was the foundation of our relationship, and I was determined not to break it. Everything changed on a Sunday afternoon. Amanda was taking a shower, and I was in the kitchen preparing lunch when her phone left on the counter, lit up with a message. I wasn't planning to snoop, but the preview was visible on the lock screen. "Can't wait until Tuesday. Remember to book our usual hotel. Jackson." My hand froze mid-air. Who was Jackson? What hotel? What was happening on Tuesday? I felt sick to my stomach. When Amanda came downstairs, I acted normal, fighting the urge to confront her immediately. I needed more information before making accusations. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind raced with possibilities, most of them devastating. By morning, I had made a decision. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. I purchased a small GPS tracker and placed it on Amanda's car while she was still asleep. I then spent hours searching social media for anyone named Jackson who might be connected to Amanda. Eventually, I found him: Jackson Williams, a regional director at her pharmaceutical company. His profile picture showed a handsome man in his early 40s, with a perfect smile and confident stance. According to his profile, he was married with 2 young children. Over the next few days, I cross-referenced Amanda's business trip schedule with her company's calendar that was publicly available online. I noticed several discrepancies. Trips she claimed were mandatory company events weren't listed anywhere on the official schedule. Locations didn't match up. The pieces were falling into place, forming a picture I didn't want to see. The Tuesday mentioned in the text message was approaching. I took time off work, telling my boss I had a family emergency. In a way, I did. I also contacted a private investigator named Peter, who came highly recommended for his discretion in these situations. I wanted photographic evidence not just for potential legal proceedings but also for my own sanity. Without concrete proof, I feared Amanda would gaslight me into believing I was imagining things. I also scheduled a consultation with a divorce attorney who advised me on the steps to take if my suspicions proved true. He prepared preliminary divorce papers that could be served immediately if needed. The attorney warned me that confronting Amanda in public might not be the best approach legally, but I knew what I needed to do for my own closure. That entire week I was a mess. I barely ate. Sleep was impossible. My colleagues noticed my distraction and asked if everything was okay. I lied, saying I was just stressed about a project deadline. How could I tell them that my entire life was crumbling? That the woman I loved might be sharing her body and heart with someone else? Despite the turmoil, I managed to maintain a normal facade at home. I didn't want Amanda to suspect anything before I had concrete evidence. I made dinner, asked about her day, and pretended everything was fine. Each smile felt like a betrayal to myself, but I knew confronting her prematurely would only lead to denials and make it harder to discover the truth. The night before Tuesday, I laid awake watching Amanda sleep peacefully beside me. I wondered how she could rest so easily while living a double life. Was anything about our relationship real? Had she ever truly loved me? Or was I just a safe, stable option while she pursued excitement elsewhere? These questions tormented me until dawn broke through our bedroom window. Tuesday morning arrived with a sense of dreadful inevitability. Amanda woke up earlier than usual and spent extra time getting ready. She wore her most expensive perfume and a new outfit I had never seen before. As she packed an overnight bag, she casually mentioned needing to attend an emergency sales conference for the next 2 days. It's last minute, but I can't get out of it, she explained, while carefully selecting lingerie that I hadn't seen her wear in months. Jackson needs all the regional managers there to prepare for the quarterly presentation. Jackson. There it was. The confirmation I didn't want to hear. I nodded and kissed her goodbye, telling her to drive safely. As soon as her car left our driveway, I texted Peter, the private investigator, and followed the GPS tracker on my phone. Amanda's car headed downtown, but not toward the airport as she had claimed. Instead, it stopped at the Grand Meridian, a luxury hotel known for its discretion and romantic ambiance. I parked my car a block away and met Peter in the hotel's coffee shop across the street. From our vantage point, we had a clear view of the hotel entrance. At noon, Amanda entered the hotel lobby, looking confident and excited. 20 minutes later, Jackson arrived. They didn't acknowledge each other in the lobby, maintaining a professional distance until they both entered the elevator. Peter snapped photos of them standing closer than colleagues should, Jackson's hand resting casually on the small of Amanda's back. "They've done this before," Peter commented. "Look at how comfortable they are. No nervousness, no looking around to check if anyone's watching. This isn't their first time." His words felt like knives. I had hoped against hope that this was some kind of misunderstanding, that there was an innocent explanation. But seeing them together, the intimate familiarity between them shattered those delusions. Peter suggested we wait. "I'll go in and find out which room they're in," he said. "Then we can get more concrete evidence." 2 hours later, Peter had photographs of them having an intimate lunch in the hotel restaurant, holding hands across the table and kissing in the hallway before entering their room. Each image was more painful than the last, but I forced myself to look at them all. I needed to see the truth with my own eyes. As I sat in that coffee shop watching the hotel entrance and scrolling through the photos Peter had sent to my phone, a strange calm settled over me. The uncertainty was gone. The constant anxiety of not knowing, of second-guessing myself, had been replaced by the certainty of betrayal. It hurt God, it hurt so much, but there was also relief in finally knowing. I called my attorney and confirmed that the evidence was sufficient. He emailed me the finalized divorce papers, which I printed at the hotel's business center. Armed with those documents and my shattered heart, I prepared for the confrontation. Peter advised me to wait until they came down from the room. "You don't want to create a scene by going up there," he said. "Let them come to you." So I waited in the lobby, sitting in a plush armchair with a direct view of the elevators. Hours passed. I rehearsed what I would say, how I would react, but when the moment finally came, all those practiced words evaporated. Amanda and Jackson emerged from the elevator at 6 p.m., both looking relaxed and satisfied. They were standing close, his arm around her waist, her head leaning against his shoulder. The intimate posture of lovers, not colleagues. They were so absorbed in each other that they didn't notice me until I stood directly in their path. Amanda's face when she saw me is something I'll never forget. Pure shock followed by fear, then panic. Her complexion went from flushed to pale in seconds. Jackson immediately dropped his arm from her waist and stepped back as if physical distance could somehow erase what I had witnessed. "Shane," Amanda whispered, her voice trembling. "What are you doing here?" I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene. I simply handed her the manila envelope containing the divorce papers. "You can stay here with him," I said, my voice steady despite the hurricane of emotions inside me. "I've hired a lawyer, and the divorce papers are ready." Jackson, proving what kind of man he truly was, didn't stay to face the consequences. He mumbled something about giving us privacy, and practically ran toward the exit, leaving Amanda to deal with the fallout alone. His wedding ring glinted under the lobby lights as he fled, reminding me that I wasn't the only one being betrayed in this scenario. Amanda started crying, mascara streaming down her cheeks. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. "Please," she begged. "Let me explain. It's not what it looks like." "Save it," I replied. "There's nothing to explain. The pictures say everything." I placed the photos on top of the envelope in her hands. Her face crumpled as she flipped through them, realizing the extent of my knowledge. There would be no gaslighting, no minimizing, no talking her way out of this. "I'm going home to pack your things," I told her. "Don't come back tonight. Stay here with him or go to a friend's place. I don't care. But our home isn't yours anymore." As I walked away, she called after me, her voice echoing across the marble lobby. Several hotel guests turned to stare, but I didn't stop or look back. The woman calling my name was a stranger to me now. The Amanda I loved had never existed. Amanda didn't respect my request to stay away. When I arrived home from the hotel, she was already there, sitting on our porch, eyes red and puffy from crying. She begged me to listen, to let her inside, to give her a chance to explain. I walked past her and locked the door. Through the door, she offered excuses and justifications. It wasn't serious. It was just physical. She had been feeling neglected. She was going through something. She never meant to hurt me. The affair had only happened a few times. All the classic lines from the cheater's handbook. I remained silent, methodically packing her clothes into suitcases. When I was done, I placed them outside the door and told her to leave, or I would call the police to report her for trespassing. The threat was enough. She took her bags and left, still crying and promising to make things right somehow. The next few days were a blur of legal consultations and painful conversations. Amanda called constantly, leaving tearful voicemails that I deleted without listening to fully. She sent text messages apologizing, begging for a second chance, promising to go to therapy to change, to make it up to me. I blocked her number. Her parents called next, asking me to reconsider, suggesting that marriages go through rough patches and can be saved with work. They had always liked me, and their disappointment was palpable. I explained as gently as possible that there was no coming back from this kind of betrayal. It wasn't a rough patch. It was a deal breaker. My own parents were supportive but devastated. They had loved Amanda like a daughter and couldn't understand how she could throw away our marriage. My father, never an emotional man, offered to come stay with me for a few days. I declined, needing space to process everything alone. News spread quickly among our friends. Some took sides immediately. Others tried to remain neutral. A few suggested that with counseling, we might be able to work through the infidelity. They meant well, but they didn't understand the depth of the betrayal. It wasn't just the physical affair. It was the months of lying, the elaborate deceptions, the complete disregard for our vows and future plans. A week after the confrontation, I received a text from an unknown number. It was Jackson's wife, Bethany. Someone had anonymously sent her the same photos I had seen. She wanted to meet to compare notes, to understand the timeline of the affair. I agreed more out of a sense of shared suffering than any desire for revenge. We met at a coffee shop far from both our homes. Bethany was a petite woman, with kind eyes and a determined expression. She had brought her 2 young children, having no one to watch them. Seeing those innocent faces unaware that their father had been destroying 2 families broke my heart all over again. "How long did you know?" she asked, her voice steady, despite the pain evident in her eyes. "1 week," I replied. "But I suspect it's been going on for months." Bethany nodded. 6 months at least. Probably longer. Jackson confessed. After I showed him the pictures, we shared details, filling in gaps in each other's understanding. The business trips that coincided. The late-night emergency calls that took Jackson away from family dinners. The sudden interest in fitness and fashion. The patterns were identical, suggesting a well-practiced routine of deception. "Are you staying with him?" I asked. Bethany glanced at her children, who were coloring quietly beside her. "I don't know yet. We have more complications than you and Amanda. The kids, the house, our finances are completely entangled." She sighed. "But how do I trust him again? How do I sleep beside him without wondering where he really is when he says he's working late?" I had no answers for her. Only sympathy and the business card of my divorce attorney. 2 weeks after the hotel incident, Amanda asked to meet in person. Against my better judgment, I agreed, choosing a public park where we had once picnicked happily in the early days of our relationship. The contrast between then and now was painful. Amanda looked terrible. She had lost weight and dark circles shadowed her eyes. She had clearly been crying, but I felt no sympathy. My emotional well had run dry. "Thank you for meeting me," she began, her voice hoarse. "I know I don't deserve it." I remained silent, waiting for whatever she had come to say. "I've been in therapy," she continued, "trying to understand why I did what I did." She took a deep breath. The affair with Jackson lasted 6 months. It started at a company retreat, when we were both drunk, but continued because... She paused, seeming to search for words. "Because I felt seen by him in ways I hadn't felt with you in a long time." "Don't blame me for your choices," I interrupted, anger finally breaking through my composed facade. "I'm not," she insisted. "The choice to cheat was entirely mine, and it was wrong. I'm just trying to be honest about my feelings. We grew apart, Shane. You were so focused on work, on the house, on our future kids that you stopped seeing me in the present." Her words made me question everything. Had I been neglectful? Had I missed signs that she was unhappy? Should I have done more to nurture our relationship? The self-doubt was corrosive, eating away at my already damaged sense of self. "Even if that were true," I replied finally, "you had options. You could have talked to me, suggested counseling, asked for changes, divorce even. Cheating was a choice you made repeatedly, day after day, for half a year." Amanda nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know. And I'll regret it for the rest of my life." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Is there any chance at all that you could forgive me? That we could try again with counseling and complete transparency?" I considered her question carefully. Could I forgive her? Perhaps someday, for my own peace. But could I ever trust her again? Could I build a life, have children, grow old with someone who had lied so convincingly for so long? The answer was clear. "No," I said simply. "The divorce proceedings will continue. I wish you well, Amanda, but we're done." As I walked away, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The decision was made. The path forward, though difficult, was clear. It was time to rebuild my life without her. The first months after the divorce was finalized were the hardest. Our house sold quickly, but each box I packed was filled with memories that cut like glass. Friends tried to help by setting me up on dates, but I wasn't ready. The thought of opening myself up to potential hurt again was too daunting. Nights were the worst. I would wake up reaching for Amanda, only to find empty space beside me. The silence in my new apartment was deafening after years of sharing space with another person. I started leaving the television on while I slept just to have some background noise. Depression crept in slowly. I lost interest in hobbies I once enjoyed. Work became a mindless routine rather than the challenging career I had once loved. I stopped going to social events, preferring isolation to the pitying looks and awkward questions about my failed marriage. Rock bottom came 3 months post-divorce. I had spent an entire weekend in bed blinds, drawn ignoring calls from concerned family and friends. When I finally checked my phone, there were 27 missed calls and numerous text messages. The last one from my best friend Tom simply said, "If you don't answer in the next hour, I'm coming over with the police for a wellness check." That message shocked me into awareness. I had to make a choice: continue spiraling or start fighting for my life back. I chose to fight. The next day, I made an appointment with a therapist specializing in betrayal trauma. Dr. Maria Connors didn't offer empty platitudes or push me to get over it quickly. Instead, she helped me understand that my feelings of grief, anger, and loss were normal responses to extraordinary pain. We worked together to develop coping strategies and begin the long process of rebuilding trust, not in others but in myself and my judgment. The goal isn't to never feel pain, Dr. Connors explained during one session. The goal is to not let the pain control your life, to make room for joy alongside the hurt. Slowly, I started reclaiming parts of myself. I joined a support group for people who had experienced infidelity. Hearing others' stories helped me feel less alone and provided perspectives I hadn't considered. Some group members had reconciled with their partners, others had left. Some were still struggling years later, while others had found peace and even new love. There was no single right path, only the one that worked for each individual. 6 months after the divorce, I took my first solo vacation. I had always wanted to visit the Grand Canyon, but had postponed it, thinking Amanda and I would go together someday. Standing on the rim, watching the sun set over that vast, ancient landscape, I felt a sense of perspective. My pain, though significant to me, was just one small part of a much larger world that continued to exist and offer beauty despite personal tragedies. I also began learning guitar, something I had always wanted to do but never made time for during my marriage. The focus required to master chords and the satisfaction of playing a song successfully provided a healthy escape from rumination. Music became a form of emotional expression when words failed me. Gradually, I reconnected with friends I had neglected. Some relationships couldn't be salvaged. The distance had grown too great, or the friends had sided too strongly with Amanda. But others proved surprisingly resilient, and new friendships formed, particularly with people from my support group who understood the unique challenges of rebuilding after betrayal. 1 year after discovering the affair, I ran into Amanda at a coffee shop. I had heard through mutual friends that she and Jackson had continued their relationship after both their marriages ended. It hadn't lasted. According to gossip, he had cheated on her, just as he had cheated on his wife. Seeing her didn't trigger the pain I had expected. Instead, I felt a strange sense of detachment, as if I were observing a character from a movie I had watched long ago. We exchanged brief pleasantries. She looked well, but nervous, clearly unsure how to interact with me. "Are you happy?" she asked as I was preparing to leave. The question surprised me. I considered it honestly before answering. "I'm getting there," I replied. "Some days are better than others." She nodded, eyes downcast. "I'm sorry, Shane, for everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but I truly am sorry." I know I said, and realized I believed her. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Amanda." Walking away, I felt no anger, no lingering attachment, just a peaceful acceptance. The encounter confirmed what I had begun to suspect: I had moved on. Not completely, not perfectly, but significantly. The wound had formed a scar tissue strong enough to withstand casual contact with its cause. The most important lesson I learned through this ordeal wasn't about Amanda or relationships. It was about myself. I discovered a resilience I hadn't known I possessed. I learned that trust is vital, but self-respect is even more important. That sometimes losing something we thought we needed opens space for finding what we truly want. Pain doesn't disappear, but it transforms. What was once a consuming fire becomes a candle that illuminates wisdom, I might never have gained otherwise. I wouldn't choose to experience betrayal again, but I can acknowledge the growth it forced upon me. Today I'm not the same man who stood shocked in that hotel lobby. I'm stronger, more self-aware, more committed to authentic communication. The future I had planned is gone, but a new one stretches before me, filled with possibilities I never considered when my identity was tied to being Amanda's husband. Have you ever faced betrayal, and how did you overcome it? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit the like button so others who might be struggling can find this message. Subscribe to hear more real-life stories that remind us we're never alone in our hardest moments. And if you know someone who might need to hear this message of hope after heartbreak, share this video with them. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, even when it feels impossible, healing is always within reach.